You are listening to episode 12 of season number 4, The Cubs Swing and Miss on Alex Bregman. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and most importantly, subscribe to the podcast. Follow on all the socials. Fly the W670, Twitter, Instagram, and on Facebook, or you can email us at flythew670@gmail.com. So, Crawly, maybe you saw it before you went to bed. I didn't see it till I woke up to check on the snow at about 1 a.m. But Alex Bregman has decided to take his talents to Boston.
Yep. And once again, Theo finds himself as a bridesmaid and not a bride. Oh, boy, Dustin. You know, I was getting tired of the story anyway, but friend of the pod.
You had Bregman fatigue, did you?
I was Bregman fatigued out. Friend of the pod, Chandler Rome was all over this. First one to break it. That was 9:25 last night that the Alex Bregman was in agreement with the Boston Red Sox. So just doing great work for the Athletic. And when you look at it, Dustin, the report showed Jeff Passan followed it up, that it was a $120 million deal with Boston. There is deferred money. $40 million salary is $10 million more than what the others were offering. And when it comes, I'll break this down. When it comes down to it, the Cubs had the second best offer on the market, but the Red Sox went a little bit more. So this is the way that the contract is structured, Dustin. 2025, Bregman's going to make $40 million and has an opt-out at the end of the season. 2026, $40 million and an opt-out at the end of the season. And 2027, $40 million and the contract ends. Dustin, that is a lot of cheddar, man.
That's a lot. I mean, I would have been stunned if the Cubs had gone that far. I don't think I would have been mad that the Cubs went that far, but I would have been stunned. So it's very hard for me to get as wound up as people might think I was going to get about this. I mean, I like the idea of Alex Bregman, but at some point, Crawly, Cubs fans, current Cubs ownership, Cubs media need to find out if Jed and Carter and the lower levels can develop and cash in on a prospect. It's Matt Shaw's time. Let's see if they know what they're looking at. A lot of pressure. I get it. But at some point, you've got to do something with all these scratch-off tickets. Here we go.
Right. And so when we look at the contract, Dustin, I guess that's why I'm not angry, because A, the Cubs do have someone in Matt Shaw that can come in and take that place. And two, I mean, his AAV, $40 million, right, would tie him with Aaron Judge for the fourth highest AAV.
Right. I thought it was like fourth or fifth with that. Yeah.
Right. Juan Soto, Shohei Ohtani, and Zach Wheeler. To me, Alex Bregman isn't in that same category as those guys.
No, he's not. He's not.
He's on the downslide, and I get people are frustrated because of, look, it sucks because we've been hearing about budget and budget constraints and breaking even and all that stuff. I wasn't mad at this one. I wasn't mad. I thought that the Cubs made a fair offer and he decided to go elsewhere. But Dustin, if you look at it, the Tigers went 6 years, $171 million. That's $28.5 million AAV. So he would have been making $28.5 million, which is what he was roughly making. You remember when we talked about Matthew Trueblood, about how that's what he wanted, is to be roughly making what he was making in Houston. I mean, he could have gone to the Tigers and gotten it for 6 more years.
Right. And so he's betting on himself as well, right? He's betting on himself as well. And or he doesn't think much of his game in Tiger Stadium and thinks that he can hit a whole lot of doubles off that green monster.
Right. And then the Astros, we know their offer was 6-year, $156. That was $26 million AAV. And then the Cubs were 4 years, $120 million. Dustin, they were willing to go $30 million a year on Bregman. That's stunning to me as far as like a Jed Hoyer type move.
Yeah. I mean, he really must believe, and this is kind of what you got to get excited about, right? He must really, really, really believe in this Cubs team.
Yeah, apparently he does. And so afterwards he was asked, he came out to talk to the beat writers to, I don't know. I don't know how you would put it. Would you say that you would say face the music?
That's the way to say it.
I don't want to say face the music because, again, I don't think he did anything wrong. I think
I don't think he did anything wrong either. But now he's telling us what we all assumed, that they were in on Bregman, and he's explaining. I've heard the audio. The audience has it. Maybe they have, but he's explaining how the process worked. And what's interesting is that he went to the Ricketts family specifically to get more, as you put it earlier, Crawly, cheddar for this particular player. Just keep in mind, this cheddar was for one particular mouse. There's not they're not attracting a bunch of more mice with this cheddar. That cheddar's going back into the Ricketts pockets.
Well, here we go. Here's Jed's explanation.
Yeah, obviously disappointed. Great players, great fit. We definitely recognize the opportunity. I was really thankful to Tom and Todd and Laura. I spent a lot of time talking about a pursuit of him, and they were willing to sort of greenlight us pushing our budget. Just free agency, ultimately, like, they got a deal in structure and amount that we couldn't match, but that's just the nature of it. But I'm thankful that I was able to pursue it. It was a really good opportunity, and now we move forward.
Was there ever a moment during the process that you guys felt you were on the verge of agreeing to something, or did it not?
No.
How do you feel about that offer?
I mean, ultimately, I feel like we made a strong offer, but clearly it wasn't enough. And again, when you're in free agency, most of the time, player goes the highest bid, and the Red Sox got a great player. They were aggressive, and kudos to them. They got a great player. But I'm glad that we were able, given where we are with our budget right now, I'm glad that we were able to pursue it, and I'm thankful that we're able to.
Oh my God, Dustin! The thing that made me laugh, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, I do have to laugh a little bit, just because you could, when you're in Arizona, when you're in Mesa. I got to do an interview last year in spring training. I did it with Brennan Davis, and I did it with Carl Edwards Jr. And there's planes, and it feels like nonstop. And then not only that, you had the music going on in the background. So I told you the backfields, there's 4 fields, and they have speakers 4 ways, just blasting whatever people want to listen to. But yeah, that's kind of where we are. And so, as you mentioned, Odyssey Score Insider, host of Inside the Clubhouse, Bruce Levine, said Hoyer was direct about the fact that the money was a layout for Bregman only. He said they may do a few minor things, but the squad is basically what you see now. Center fielder, third baseman, first baseman on the radar. So that's it. That was, again, he thought that much of Alex Bregman to go to the family, to ask for money. And so that to me was pretty interesting, and the fact that the Ricketts approved it.
Yeah, it's really great. It's really great that they approved it. So everybody that's called, you gotta tap the brakes a little bit. Okay, they're not being cheap. They're not being cheap.
Not on this one, and it's not a mistake. And when you take a look here, there may be more of a reason, even than money. This is Bregman's numbers in Boston. 21 games, 98 plate appearances, 7 home run, a 375 average, and an OPS of 1.240. So I got to say, Dustin, to me, it just seems like he really, really just wants to hit there. And from what a lot of people were talking about is between the Cubs and the Red Sox all year. And you remember that Wrigley didn't play really well last year as far as the wind. It was difficult to hit. He may have just said, hey, I'm going to go on with this and go a different route. But Dustin,
he gets connected with his old skipper, right, down in Houston, right? His old skipper is now the skipper out in Boston, so that's got to be a thing, right? That's part of this.
Right.
Spring training, Astros have been training in Florida. The Red Sox train in Florida. Maybe he's got a place in Florida. Heck, he could have a place in all 50 states with that kind of cheddar.
Well, here's another thing, though, that Bruce put out there that I think we have to talk about here. He said Cubs Jed Hoyer said he had many, many emails and texts with owner Tom Ricketts about money availability for Alex Bregman. Cubs will not defer money any longer on contract offers. This team is still paying Jason Hayward and John Lester on deferred deals. Dustin, I mean,
Now this is how this all developed, Crawly, just to look behind the curtain. Okay. This is a question that we brought up on the show this morning. We then asked Bruce about it, and then Bruce asked about it today. So this is something that was developed by the Mully and Haw show. I bet they're okay that they're still paying Lester. I'm sure they're not okay that they're still paying Hayward. But hey, who would have thought that Hayward would have a job still in Major League Baseball and Anthony Rizzo would be looking? But this this is a big deal. And I'm predicting that in the next CBA, the owners, before they go to war with the players, are going to go to war with each other over deferred money. Deferred money is something that I don't think is legit for this game moving forward.
I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, if the Dodgers are doing it, maybe it's something you should take a look at it, because, this looks to me like an advantage that you can take right now. And I get it. It's annoying.
Well, it looks like they were willing to spend this year, but for this year. And I think this year is the key, Crawly. You're not going to want to hear this, and it's something that we're going to have to talk about. But from a lot of people around baseball, they're talking about a work stoppage.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you're going for it, like, this is the year to go for it, because there might not be a next year.
But again, could you have deferred some of that money for a Bregman deal?
I think they're taking a hard stand on the whole deferred money. But again, look at when you're talking about the deferred money, it's $2 million for Lester, and it's $5 million for Hayward. Now the Hayward goes into 2027. I think this is the last year for Lester, but still it's $5 million. Now again, $5 million. It's a lot of cheddar. That's going to be the drinking game on this podcast, by the way. But it shouldn't be the reason to not defer, because what others are deferring when we're talking about the Red Sox now and the Yankees and the Dodgers is a lot more than $2 and $5 million.
Right. And that's what you got to look at. And I will say, I did think it was a really good offer that the Cubs put out there. But this is, when you talk about 3 strikes, you're out here. They struck out on Bregman. Remember, Tanner Scott, who many analysts thought was the best free agent reliever on the market. The Cubs offered him 4 years, $66 million. But the Dodgers went 4 years, $72 million. I mean, they just missed out on that one right there. And then Roki Sasaki. So it's been a tough offseason, but you could see Jed going as hard as he can on some of these, and again, just falling short. And so now the question, of course, is who takes, third base now. And we heard all winter and all spring that Matt Shaw will have the opportunity to win third base. And that still appears to be what's going to happen. Craig Counsell did meet with the media and talk specifically about Matt Shaw and what he is going to do as far as getting reps at third base.
I mean, I think at this point, Matt Shaw is going to get a lot of reps at third base. I think we should focus on third base with Matt. I think that's where his focus is going to be. If we have to adjust there, we'll certainly adjust, but I think we'll keep the focus mostly at third base.
So I think they want to make sure that this kid is just getting every opportunity and not moving him around like Christopher Morel, right? Like, let's just put him in one spot and go with it.
I think that's a smart way to do it, don't you?
Yeah, I like that as well. Let him focus. Don't try to get him all over the place. Just give him one spot and let's see what he does with it. Now, for a backup plan, and this came out when we were recording last time, Ken Rosenthal said sources have discussed signing Justin Turner if Alex Bregman goes elsewhere. That was Patrick Mooney and Ken Rosenthal putting it out there. I am not into that, Dustin. I don't know about you. I don't know. I'm not into getting Justin Turner. I'd rather not.
Well, the reason that they're into Justin Turner is because he can do third base and first base, and he's a winner, and he's a good guy. Again, Justin Turner might cost you $5 million, $2.5 million. I mean, what do you like? I mean, are we going to start talking about trading with the Cardinals for Nolan Arenado?
All I can tell you is that for a lot of people that sit there, when you talk about Justin Turner, he doesn't really play third base. Can he? Yes, he can. Is he good at it anymore? No. He was a full-time third baseman pretty much his entire Dodger career. Okay. If you take a look, I have up here just kind of the numbers as far as positions. 2017, 121 games at third base. 2018, 96. He had some injuries. 2019, 124. And then with the Dodgers in 2021, 143 games. But then you start to see after the 2022 season, he played 66 games for the Dodgers at third base. Then when he goes to Boston, they had him play 41 games at first base, only 7 at third base. Okay.
Because they had a better option, right? They had a better option or no?
Yes, they had a better option. Right now, pretty much anything's a better option. And then later on, he's going to go to Toronto. He's only going to play 5 games at third base. And then he's going to go to Seattle. He's going to play 2 teams. He only plays 1 game at third base. So, I mean, apparently everybody's got a better third baseman than Justin Turner. I just think that it's not something I'm really into, man. I think Birdie will be fine as a backup at third for Shaw. I don't think you need Justin Turner, and it's not anything I'm really into right now. So, like I said, I thought the Cubs did a good job as far as trying to get him, but they fell a little short, and that's how it goes sometimes. So, clearly frustrating. But we did get some good news, Dustin. We did get some good news. Javier Assad got his MRI results, and so as far as Assad is concerned, it's a quote. This is from Elise Menaker, Twitter. It's a mild strain. We're going to have him shut down from throwing until symptoms subside. I don't think it's going to be many days that we're without throwing. So the MRI was good news. I expect him to see him back out there throwing shortly. And so
that's good news, right? That's good news. There's also good news on Ben Brown. That I thought that was something that piqued my interest, hearing that Ben Brown is throwing at the pace that they definitely want him to be throwing at, right? So that's great news as well.
Right. And so the question is, and this is, I asked a lot of people, and a lot of smart baseball people I reached out to, and I couldn't get a good answer on it.
Bruce is looking into it for us, Crawly. I've got Bruce on this too.
Oh, great. Because the question is whether the Cubs have him as part of a roster when they go to Japan, right? And so we talked on the last episode how the Cubs get 2 extra roster spots for the trip to Tokyo, but only one of them could be used for a pitcher.
So they basically get one extra. They get 1 extra position player, 1 extra pitcher.
Correct. So again, as these guys are probably not fully stretched out like they normally would be, that would be your starters, Shota and Justin Steele. You figure you want a guy that's going to eat a couple innings. Colin Rea can do that. Ben Brown can do that. Jordan Wicks can do that. But let's say if Assad can't go, does that open up? And then you open up another spot, right, for another multi-inning pitcher. But my question for Bruce is, how does the IL work with the Japanese trip? So normally a trip to the IL means a player cannot be reactivated for 10 days. You put him on the 10-day IL, right? Well, does that mean that Assad would not be able to be activated until April 4th against the Padres, which would be technically 10 game days? Or would he be able to be activated on March 28th against the Diamondbacks, which would be 8 days after the Tokyo series starts, 10 days total, the 2 Tokyo games, and then all the way to the 28th. So I just don't know if when they return back, because they have another couple of weeks of spring training after the Japan trip, does he have...
And that's so weird, by the way. That's so bizarre. You play 2 games that count, and then you come back and play about 7 games that don't. I mean, what's going on?
And how does that count on the IL? And so that was my question. So I'm glad Bruce is looking into it. I had a lot of people theorize, but no one's been able to give me a straight answer. But talking about that Japan series, we talked about how this was going to work out, and now we have more clarity on who is.
No, we really don't. I'm going to disagree. We'll listen to the audio, but I'm going to disagree. This had me hot to trot this morning, Crawly.
All right. Well, from our friend Odyssey Insider and USA Today beat writer Bob Nightingale, Yoshinobu Yamamoto will start the Dodgers series opener in Tokyo, Dave Roberts says, and likely Roki Sasaki in game number 2.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? You get, more than likely, nothing written in ink, no exclamation point, no bust my rear end if it doesn't happen. But, we don't have to do this cloak and dagger stuff, Crawly. Okay, this isn't an attack on. This isn't an attack. This isn't some kind of war game going on.
Well, here is how skipper Craig Counsell replied to who was starting.
See, Shota could be pitching Japan.
Could be.
Are you concerned about to flip the earlier?
No, look, Japan is, I think how we've kind of approached it is we did a little bit of more work, maybe more work before we got here, and now it's just we're going to do the same thing, and we have so many days and you just got to do your thing and on your schedule. Guys will be ready to pitch. Nobody's going to be ready to pitch the fully stretched out or fully ready to go, but everybody will be ready to pitch, and we have time to prepare. We tried to prepare for it by doing a little more before everybody kind of showed up and just start their progressions a little earlier. But now you got to take your day. You got to have a good day. You throw your bullpen, and then you recover again, and then throw another bullpen. That's the schedule, and then that gets you to where you're supposed to be. So, Shota's going to pitch in Japan. Yeah, he's going to pitch in Japan.
When you look at Japan as
I think that's mandated, kind of.
I was irritated by a lot of things here. First off, you have a
Thank you.
You got a guy who is trying to ask a question in English. He's a Japanese reporter, and Craig kind of makes like a joke because the guy was asking, could Shota be pitching? Yeah, could he? Yeah. I mean, it was just dumb. Like, this is a guy who doesn't speak English as a first language. Why don't you cut him a little bit of slack there, Craig? Number one. Number two, what was all that mumbo jumbo about? It was just literally like they were just asking. Obviously, the Japanese media in particular wants to know who's starting. Why do you got to act like it's literally pulling teeth? Okay. Just sit there and say, yeah, Shota's going to start. And then he makes the joke about it being mandated. Yes, MLB wants their best Japanese pitchers out there. I'm going to tell you something. You know what? Dave Roberts said, okay, yes, it's going to be Yoshinobu Yamamoto and then likely Roki Sasaki. Roki Sasaki's never pitched a game in MLB, but they want to give him that opportunity. And I've talked about this at length. For the Japanese starters, there is a matter of pride to be able to do this. This is what you're going to that trip for, is to get all eyes on Japan watching this game. So I don't understand why you act like it's like such a big deal. You're going to be able to do something for the betterment of the game. It's going to be something that's going to mean the world to Shota Imanaga, to be able to pitch in the Tokyo Dome, especially on opening day. Don't sit there and make a big deal out of it. It's not a big deal. You and I both know it's either going to be Shota or Justin Steele. It's not rocket science. Who cares?
And just say that. That's all he had to do. But he won't even give you the fact that Justin Steele is going to start one of the two games, and Shota is going to start one of the two games. I'm not telling you he's got to tell us 1 and 2 even. I mean, that would be nice, but okay. But you're going to act like, maybe I'll roll Jameson Taillon out there for game number 2. What? That would be insulting. That would be insulting to Justin Steele.
And again, just sit there.
He started in Texas. He started the first game last year.
Let's make it fun. Let's make it exciting. Don't sit there and act like this is some big chore. And to be honest, Shota had the best numbers last year. Wouldn't he? Why would he not be your opening day starter? To me, it makes no sense. If you want to start Justin Steele in the very first Cubs, the opening day, the MLB opening day in Phoenix, fine. If you want to start Justin Steele in the home opener, fine. This is something different. This is something special. Recognize it for what it is and name Shota Imanaga the number 1 starter on opening day in Tokyo.
You are listening to Season 4, Episode 12 of the Fly the W podcast. Cubs swing and miss on Alex Bregman. Don't forget to leave us one of those 5-star reviews. You can email us, flythew670gmail.com. And don't forget to watch us, that's right, on the 670 The Score YouTube channel. In this segment, Crawly talking to local photographer Rich Biesterfeld about what he has seen at Cubs spring training in Mesa as the pitchers, catchers, position players are reporting to camp.
Join me now on the Fly the W podcast. I'm happy to have on our good friend Rich Biesterfeld, the expert of Arizona, the man behind the lens, Rich Biesterfeld. Rich, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about you, Crawly?
A little jealous when I see all you guys out there, and it's like it's that time of year where all of a sudden, like I sit there and I see the backfields, and I see just the joy in everybody's face, and we just we got some snow here. It wasn't horrible, but there's nothing like Arizona when spring training starts up and pitchers and catchers report. Are there any greater words in the English language? I don't think so.
I would say that, and to me, the sound of cleats on cement when guys are running between fields. It's like that's the sound of spring to me.
I love it. So tell our listeners here a little bit, how did you get into this process of photographing all of these different players that have been coming around for years?
Sure. So I mean, I go back to that. I grew up a Cub fan all my life. I grew up in Illinois, lived in Central Illinois for about 30 years. Used to come out to Arizona all the time. Spring training was my vacation all the time. And then in 2016, I got the chance to move out here for my job, and got to be around the complex more when I was able to retire. Then I started doing more photography around with the team, and that's really taken off probably after COVID in 2020. Really started getting quite serious about it, and it's been fun since then. I've got to meet so many of the players from the time they're drafted to watching them move up through the system, getting to know them, getting to know their parents, all that. So it makes it really rewarding when you see a lot of the guys make it up to the big leagues, and you know how tough it is to do that.
Yeah. And have you always been interested in photography? Has that always been kind of a hobby of yours, or did it, like you said, pick up more and more as you were out at the complex?
Yeah, no, great question. I've been doing photography, gosh, probably since after I got out of college, just kind of picked up a camera and started doing stuff. And the love of baseball kind of combining with that kind of started to take over more and more. But I still also do some landscapes. We've got the beautiful wild horses out in the Salt River. So those are some of my other ones. But the Cubs baseball and combining that with photography is really cool.
Yeah, and the funny thing is when I go out there and I'm in Arizona in spring training and I'm next to you, I'm like glue because A, you have way better vision than I do, and B, every player smiles when they see you. We got Cole Franklin commenting here, can't miss content. I mean, it's like you said, you've been able to create the bond between the players because some of these guys that are a lot younger and their parents may be living far away, you're kind of like the lens for their families to see how their kids are doing so far away. And now you've actually really been rewarded for all your work because I know that Topps has been using your photos. What has been some of the most fun things that you've gotten to see out of this?
Boy, I think like you say, the Topps had cards for Christian Hernandez, a couple of those. Now former Cub Matt Mervis, his a patch card that they did for him from the Arizona Fall League. And then last year was a really cool one was Coach Rachel Folden. There was a special subset on women in baseball. And it was very cool because Rachel got to choose the photo for her card. She got in contact with me and said, "Hey, can you send me a bunch of photos that you have of me?" And then so she went through them and picked out which one it would be.
Oh, that's a great story. And so now that, we've gotten to pitchers and catchers reporting, what is it like for you? It's not crowded yet in the backfields. I'm assuming before the game start, right? Is it just, not too bad?
Not too bad. It's getting more. As soon as like the pitchers and catchers report, though, you can tell more people start coming out. Like a lot of the media, more media presence and coverage there. It gets busy, but it's fun. It's all fun. Even when the crowds are bigger, it's fun. It's what I always say is I love baseball. Baseball fans are for the most part are very friendly or talkative. There's a shared passion there, And so even if you don't know the person standing next to you, chances are you strike up a conversation, you're going to find a whole bunch of things in common, even beyond just the love of baseball and the Cubs.
Our friend Steve Scherer says, Rich Biesterfeld autograph cards coming soon to eBay. I'm going to have to put a saved search on that one. So you get to see a lot of really cool things. You get to take a lot of cool pictures. And for a lot of us that are stuck in this miserable weather right now, we look at it through you. So I'm going to ask you about a couple of things that you've kind of seen out here. First off, I know people are very excited about Nico Hoerner, wondering how he looks after the injury. And oh my God, I know Nico's best friend, Alyssa, was so upset to see that he got the buzz cut. But hey, Rich, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. Tell us about what you've seen so far with Nico Hoerner, how he's looked out there.
Yeah, I noticed that reaction from a number of people today when I posted those shots of Nico from yesterday. Yeah, the buzz cut was a hot topic. But no, I've seen Nico playing catch. I've seen him taking ground balls defensively. I haven't seen him. What do I say? He's taking ground balls, but he hasn't been like taking ground balls and throwing to first or anything like that. So I think they're just kind of managing his workload and probably don't want to put too much stress yet. Obviously I'm not privy to any of the medical things or what that whole game plan is, but it seems like they're trying to bring him along. Will he be ready for opening day in Japan? I don't know. I have not yet seen him hit or like fielding a backhand ground ball and then planting and throwing. Haven't seen him doing those types of things yet. So I would think those are probably check marks along the way that'll need to be, or boxes that need to be checked along the way. So yeah, it's still kind of wait and see.
Now, obviously, everybody's kind of happy to see Ben Brown on the field, and he had the neck issue that was kind of hurting him. But according to the Cubs, all systems look go. He looks like he's ready to throw a few innings. How does what are you seeing from him? Does it look like there's any hesitation, or is he kind of going full tilt right now?
He appears to be going full out. I have not seen him throw like a BP. So maybe for our listeners too, where the major league guys throw their bullpens, it's really out of the way of fans. The media can get to it and see it, but the fans really can't. So I haven't had a chance to observe that. There were a number of pitchers today that did throw live BP for the first time, but Ben wasn't one of those guys. So I have yet to see him throw, but from just other interviews I've seen him doing and just, watching him throw, play long toss and stuff, he doesn't appear to be holding back in any way.
So you talked about BP today. I know Justin Steele was throwing some BP. Describe to our listeners what it's like in Arizona when these guys start throwing BP.
Sure.
When they're at a mound and who's standing in the batter's box.
Yeah. So today we had a number of guys. Justin Steele, I think he was followed by Caleb Killian, Jack Neely, and there might have been one more guy because I left that field to go to another one. But they were all throwing on field one, which is close to the stadium. They were facing, or at least Justin was facing PCA and Alexander Canario. Justin's stuff looked very sharp. And I mean, normally the pitchers are ahead of the hitters at this time. The hitters don't really have their timing going well yet. But I think Canario towards the end made some solid contact, but otherwise there wasn't a whole lot of contact against Justin.
Huh. And another guy that we've kind of, we're really curious. He broke the first base rookie record for home runs is Matt Bush. And, they look so different when they don't have their jerseys on. You know what I mean? They get to wear whatever they want and stuff, and this is a great photo that you took. But he looks like he's ready to go. He looks like, they all say they're in the best shape of their life, but he looks like he's in really good shape. He looks like he's ready to hit some bombs. Yeah.
Michael looks really good. I'd say he was taking some BP on the other field today on field 2. I missed him because while I was watching Justin Steele, he was in the first group, facing another pitcher. But a friend of mine was actually talking to somebody today, and it sounds like he's put on a little bit more good weight, and it kind of he looks a little more ripped there than I remember him from last year, which is good. Hopefully, he can continue to raise those power numbers, play the good defense like he did all last year.
Yeah, you talk, one of the great stories of last year was Shodi Managa, part of the combined no-hitter. From the moment he got here, hey, Chicago, what do you say? And, it's funny to me, but it seems like Shota is always like really early. I mean, I know it's only his second year, but he is, there's certain pitchers that'll wait till the very last moment to roll into camp or whatever. He looks like he's always here early, and he just always looks like he's having fun. Like he enjoys being on the field. He has to be a joy to photograph.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He seems like he's always smiling. There's again, since the Cubs began signing some of the players from Japan, there's usually a pretty large presence of the Japanese media, and even I forgot which day it was. One of the days this week, happened to look up, and there was Shota, and he was probably surrounded by at least 25 to 30 Japanese media holding a little conference and answering questions. So, but yeah, on the field, even he's playing catch. He's just, he's got that ear to ear grin, and it's kind of infectious. It's a great time to see the guys because it's, everybody's a little more relaxed. There's not pressure yet, but I don't know. For me, I always like to see guys having fun, and that just brings a smile to my face when they're smiling and enjoying it.
You talked about the Japanese media. Here's a picture of Seiya Suzuki taking some fly balls. And do you notice more Japanese media with this Tokyo series coming up? And boy, it looks like what, about a month, right?
Yeah. I don't know if it's really more because, even going back to a few years, like to Kosuke Fukudome, when the Cubs first signed him, it seemed like there was a pretty large presence. And I have a feeling too, there's probably some right now, covering the Cubs, but then with the Dodgers over in Glendale too, with the volume of guys that they have too, Japanese players, I'm sure there's probably shuffling from park to park or by day.
Yeah, it's fun to watch. And, one of the guys that is new on the team is Matt Boyd. And so I'm kind of curious to see what he's got as far, it looked good with Cleveland last year. And so like to see him in the Cubby blue. And he's one of those guys that you think, boy, if he can stay healthy, he might be someone that could really be, a candidate for, say, maybe comeback player of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he watched him. That was taken just the other day. Him just playing catch out on field too, but just watching his ball had a lot of movement. And a fun story from today during the live BP session with Justin. Just happened to look up and caught a photo of there's Matt Boyd sitting in the dugout, sitting next to Rick Sutcliffe and chatting it up, which is like, I love seeing stuff like that. The new guys and the veteran guys, just kind of trading stories and maybe imparting some knowledge, hopefully, that Rick might have.
Two Cleveland guys who ended up in Chicago, right? It's not nice there. I like to hear that. One of my favorite pictures that I've seen you take this spring, where I just looked in it and had to smile, is this one right here of Owen Casey and James Triantos. Tell us about that relationship and the connection that those guys have.
Oh, I don't know if I should ever say I have favorites, but those two guys are great. It's been fun because I've watched those guys since, Owen came over and obviously in the Yu Darvish trade, and then James was selected in the draft. But so I've watched those guys play since rookie ball. So to see them progress through the system is just it's been a joy just watching them play. And yeah, they've always been tight. It seems like. You see them working out together a lot. An observation going back to rookie league, when one would be up at bat and, whatever happened based on the results, they got a hit or whatever, or, they made an out, they'd be walking back to the dugout. You'd see the two of them putting their heads together along with Rachel Folden, hitting coach. They both have worked a ton with her. And I know, I think Owen has said it, but I definitely know James has talked about what a big help that she has been for both of them.
He brought it up at CubsCon at the Road to Wrigley this year. That was asked, and he brought up Rachel specifically. Mm-hmm. And so, obviously the big story coming out, Cubs miss out on Alex Bregman. And so it's on Matt Shaw. It's going to be the Matt Shaw show. Did you notice any difference in camp, like as far as the players? Because they've been asked about it every single day. Like, hey, everyone's been talking about it. Did you notice any kind of like, say, letdown from the news that Bregman signed with the Red Sox?
Not visibly. I mean, and again, I think, these guys are pros. So I think if he had come to the Cubs, I think, yeah, they would have been happy and excited. But, I think they're pretty even keel with that stuff. They know the nature of rumors and things. Heck, probably some of them knew more what was going on, just from, private conversations, because with like Kyle Tucker and Ryan Presley, having played with him before, they might have had more insight to know, before anything was made official. But I think there's a lot of faith in Matt Shaw, and I think, my personal feeling, he's probably going to have some ups and downs as a rookie, but the kid's a winner. The kid's just a winner. Having watched him since he was drafted, gotten to know him a little bit, amazing work ethic. Watched an interview with him within the last week or so, and he has the guy has zero social media. He rather focuses his time like with his fiance, reading the Bible, working out, getting ready for seasons. He's one of those kids that's going to be very easy to root for, and I think failure is not going to be an option with him. So I think he's going to figure it out.
And I think what we mentioned, it's just about patience is just understanding that this is extremely hard. He's not going to be your savior. What you need him to do is play solid defense and learn, because it's a game of cat and mouse, right? They're going to try to figure out where the holes in his swings are. He's going to have to make the adjustments, and this is going to go on. And just being patient with the kid. That's kind of with all these prospects. I mean, getting up to the major leagues, I mean, it's just so tremendously difficult. And to do it, like I said, it's just going to be patience. And that's the only thing I can ask for and preach with Cub fans. I get it if a guy's a veteran player, but if they're young kids, you gotta understand it's going to take a little time, and eventually they're going to get there. Right.
Yeah. I mean, there were people who were ready to give up on PCA after, his 20 at bats in 2023. And it's like, and he had a struggle. Most of your rookies, Ryan Sandberg, what was Ryan, 1 for
31?
40, yeah, something like that. Yeah. It's like, had a pretty good career in the end. So, it's like you say, it's you got to be patient. They're going to make adjustments. Not every guy's going to hit, but boy, a lot of them are.
It drives me nuts too with that PCA when he came up in 23 is that he only got maybe 1, maybe 2 at bats a game, and usually against the top relievers from the other team. Exactly. It's like, are you serious? You're mad at him for that? It's like, come on, man, let's have some fun. And so it's another guy that I think is, a lot of people think is going to be successful, Cade Horton, and these guys just love throwing the football around. It doesn't matter if I've been to South Bend or Iowa, wherever you go, if you get there early enough, these guys have the football out and they're playing some catch.
Yeah. All the reports I'm hearing on Cade are really good. I know just watching him play catch again, haven't had a chance to observe any BP with him yet, but it looks jacked. It looks strong, like he's put on some really good strength. And when he was throwing, you could see there was some pace on the ball. This wasn't like a soft toss. Oh, I don't want to, hurt something or whatever. He's throwing the ball. So I'm excited. So I think Cade, he could be one of those secret weapons that we aren't talking about after missing most of last season. But he could come in big.
Yeah, just him and Ben Brown. I keep kind of just wondering, you just need one of those two guys to kind of have that breakout. And you wonder where it's going to be, if they're going to keep them as starters, if they're going to use them out of the pen. They're all just kind of things that I'm taking a look at. Is there anyone else in camp right now that's kind of struck you as you just kind of look at things and you're like, all right, this is looking a little bit different, or, whether it's Alexander Canario or whether it's Kevin Alcantara? Is there something out there that you've kind of observed that is just like, all right, I'm liking what I see here?
Yeah. I think Jordan Wicks is one of my dark horses that hasn't. I know his name's been floated on some trade rumors. Even when I heard that, it was like, oh, I hope they didn't, because I think he'd be selling low, number one. But he's dropped some weight from what I've heard. Dropped about 20 pounds. He's been working with a Pilates instructor to strengthen the core. before he got hurt last year, he was looking really good. So I'm really got my fingers crossed for him.
Yeah, I heard that
think
maybe
he's
he
number
was
one.
trying to work out too much, got too bulky, and that might have been the
Mhm.
cause of the injuries. And then if you remember, Jake Arrieta was always big on the Pilates and all the Pilates
Yeah.
machines that he had
Mhm.
installed at Wrigley. And so that's one of those where you look at it and you say, yeah, you want to be strong, but there's also flexibility, core strength, other thing that you want to keep
Mhm.
in mind to stay healthy throughout the year. And so I'm excited as well to see what Jordan Wicks has. Steve Sure brings up the fact that there's been talk about Alexander Canario getting work at first base. Have you seen it at all? And like you said, you saw him hit a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think people still kind of sleep on Canario, forgetting what he
Mhm.
was before the injury.
Yeah, I mean, he's got big power. That yeah, power is always a welcome addition to the lineup. As far as him playing first base, I didn't see it, but I was actually talking to our mutual friend John Antonoff earlier today, and John said he saw him taking some ground balls at first base today, so they were working with him on it. So they've kind of already started doing some work there to see what that might look like.
I'm sorry. Every time I think about Canario at first base, do you remember the movie Moneyball? And they were trying to get Hattenberg to learn how to play first base, and Billy Bean selling him, it's not that hard. Tell him Ron Washington's character. It's extremely hard. That's just kind of what I see about with Canario, man. I absolutely love it. So we are about a week away from games?
Yes, next Thursday, I believe. Cubs open up in Glendale against the Dodgers.
And for people that don't know, it's a lot of fun that if you're going to the game, they are going to start at the complex. They're going to do their warm-ups in the morning and all that stuff. And then eventually they'll make their pathway to Sloan Park. And that's just a great place to get autographs, talk to fans. What tips would you have for any of our listeners that are going to spring training for the first time and are hoping to kind of meet players and get autographs and those type of things?
Yeah. So they post a schedule every day, both like on the Sloan Park website, and there's like they've got them scattered around, but you call it little signs posted with a QR code that you can scan with your phone, and it'll tell you what the daily schedule, and that will give you the kind of the general information. What I would say is that's kind of a starting point, but a lot of times there's other things going on that they don't list. So wander the complex. Usually the major leaguers are on fields 1 and 2, which are closest to the Sloan Park complex. But a lot of times you'll find guys on the quads, on the backfields, fields 3, 4, 5, and 6, which are primarily for the minor leaguers, but sometimes you'll see, I remember one time seeing John Lester throwing BP out on field 6 to guys. When Ben Zobrist was playing, Ben would, sometimes go out there just because he wanted to get some extra at bats. Same thing like Matt Caesar I've seen out there. So you never know what you might see just by kind of wandering around. Just kind of keep your eyes open. I think to me, always one of the best parts, and you alluded to it earlier with spring training, is that you get a chance to a lot of times meet the players because the pressure isn't quite there yet, the same way as during the regular season. So a lot of times they're more open to having that conversation. Another one that comes to mind is last year, Kyle Hendricks. Kyle was on the last year of his contract. I felt like you could really see him soaking it all in, as a Cub, because like a lot of times when you see guys on the path, it's like, okay, they need to be someplace. So they're kind of walking head down straight. I couldn't tell you how many times I saw Kyle just kind of walking slowly in the path and people wanted him to sign an autograph or just wanted to talk to him for a little bit. He took the time. As a fan, that was so cool to see. I mean, I understand the move. I still hate to see Kyle gone because he's just such a classy guy and a good pitcher. He'll always be a Cub to me. So no matter what, but it was kind of fun seeing that and fans having the chance to interact and get to see not just the ball player, but the person there too.
That is a great point, Rich. And, you do such a good job in your photography of capturing the essence of the player, the person and the player, and I think that's what makes your photography so interesting. Tell our listeners where they can follow you on the socials so that they can look at all of your great pictures that we've been using throughout this show.
Sure. My handle on any of the platforms is BIEST22. So like I'm on Twitter, on Instagram. I probably post more to Twitter than or X, I guess I should say now. I still call it Twitter, but there or Instagram. So most of my stuff is there. Also do some collaboration with several of the Cubs minor league affiliates. Was doing some stuff just today with Myrtle Beach, and we had a little fun with the South Bend Cubs about some pictures I posted of a couple of their catchers who are known for their fun interactions on and off the field.
Love it. And like I said, that's what's great to watch, Rich. And we really appreciate you jumping on, appreciate everything. And we'll be checking in from time to time throughout the year. And you and I are going to opening day together.
Yes, we are.
March 27th in Phoenix. First time for me at Chase Field. Steve will be there. Jeremy I saw was on here earlier is going to be there. We're going to have a absolutely amazing crew of about 20 to 25 people. So it'll be fun when we all get to be out there. I can't go a spring without hanging out with you, Rich. You know how that goes.
Absolutely. Hey, there's one question I think I need to answer though, because it's from my sister. She's asking how Ethan's doing. Ethan's doing great.
Ethan Roberts, we got to hang out with him at CubsCon. He was ripping cards with our friend Bo. And yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Barb, for jumping in. And Scott Nelson says Beast 23. Scott is absolutely just has so many great Cubs stories. And so everybody wanted to tune in and say hello, Rich. So thank you for taking some time tonight.
Absolutely.
And this interview, if you missed it, or if you want to show somebody it, it'll be on the Fly the W podcast dropping tomorrow. Thanks again, Rich. Looking forward to us having a good time out in Arizona.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on, Crawly.
This is episode 12 of season 4 of the Fly the W podcast. Cubs swing and miss on Alex Bregman. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. You can email us, flythew670@gmail.com. And don't forget, you can watch us on the 670 The Score YouTube page. All right, Crawly, time to go a little bit around the bases as pitchers and catchers for most clubs are in camp. And the Cubs players are due in camp on Friday.
Yes, when this episode gets released, they will be pulling in, even though they've mostly all been there. I don't know. I've seen all of them, Justin Turner and Dansby Swanson. I don't think there's anyone that's not there.
Yeah, maybe you should ask Rich Biesterfeld who he hasn't seen yet. That would be
exactly. That's
better
more
question.
the question. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to say we got a great email from Ed Litos at 670 The Score.
Very good.
And so at flythew670@gmail.com. So I was excited to have a conversation with Ed, and we were kind of debating whether, when I said that on one of the last episodes that Tony La Russa was not what really affected that team. And so we had a good discussion, and it was really good. So keep those emails coming. When we take a look at what's going on around the league, stunning move, Dustin. The San Diego Padres, right? They're poor. They're poor. They have to cut salary. They signed right-handed pitcher Nick Pivetta to a 4-year, $55 million deal that includes a pair of opt-outs. So that has a lot of people buzzing. Does that mean are they about getting ready to launch Dylan Cease or Robert Suarez? Because you have to somehow offset this money, apparently. I don't know what they're doing, but Suarez, as far as the word out of the Padres camp, is they intend to keep Dylan Cease. Though trading closer Robert Suarez remains a decent possibility, according to The Athletic. Suarez is owed $10 million in 2025 and can opt out of the final 2 years, worth $16 million combined on his contract at the end of the season. But Dustin, with the signing of Alex Bregman and Nick Pivetta, 37 out of The Athletic's top 40 free agents have now signed with the team. The last 3 left, number 33, left-handed pitcher Andrew Heaney. At number 37, left-handed starter and former Cub Jose Quintana. And at number 38, Alex Verdugo. So the top 32 are all signed. And 2 of the guys that are not signed are in the last 5 of that list. So there really isn't much out there. And Dustin, I don't know, veteran closer Kenley Jansen signed with the Angels. And so, that just got me thinking a little bit about the Angels. And so I was looking on some stuff on social media, and I'm just going to warn you, if you're watching on 670 The Score YouTube channel, this may be kind of tough to see, because when I first saw it, I said to myself, oh my God, it was like, what do you need? One of those warnings that you put on there. This is
Parental discretion is advised.
Kyle Hendricks in an Angels uniform. How does that, I mean, how hard is that to see Kyle in?
Boy, I'll tell you what, Crawly, if you didn't tell me that was him, I don't think I would know it was him. You have to kind of look hard to know that's him.
It's just really kind of like stunning to say to yourself, oh my, I forgot all about Kyle Hendricks with everything going on. And then all of a sudden I saw that. I was like, oh my God. Speaking of someone you don't recognize, Dustin, we know PCA has the skills in the outfield. We wonder if the hitting can keep up like it did in the second half. But what about when it comes to hairstyles? Okay. PCA is known for his wild hairdo. This right here is a picture, if you're watching on the 670 The Score YouTube channel, of PCA with the all blue do.
Yeah, but that's not Cubby blue. That's like a weird metallic blue.
Like a Kool-Aid blue.
Kool-Aid blue.
And then
Gatorade blue.
Right, Gatorade blue right there. And then if you look at this one, this is the permed mullet. Business in the front, party in the back, shaved on the sides, that he brought out to CubsCon. I think it was 2 years ago. How about this one from a few years back? This is the metallic blue mohawk arrow thing with all blonde, bleach blonde, with looked like a mushroom on top of his head. And so, Dustin, we have PCA's newest hairdo for 2025, the stars. It's the same bleach blonde with stars, blue stars, big giant blue stars, about 4 or 5. And I started thinking about this with him and the fashion and the hairdo and all of that stuff, Dustin. Does it kind of give you Dennis Rodman vibes?
A little bit. Good comp. And let's hope that those stars are a preview to an all-star season, Crawly. How about that?
100%. But when I think about it, for those of you that remember back in the days, remember what was that building? Remember the billboard? And they had to stop it because traffic was stopping. They would pull over. And this is before days of cell phone cameras. People would be taking pictures on the side of the expressway because they would change Dennis Rodman's hairdo on the side of the building. But he's just, I think like when you look at him, I'm trying to think of a Cubs comp of somebody like almost like a Mitch Williams or a Turk Wendell, or someone that's just kind of got that little bit of edge to them. You know what I mean? A little bit of, I don't even know. I'm trying to figure out what the best word is. But when you think of PCA and I look at him, I say to myself, man, that kid's got something. There's something about him that's just a little bit different. A lot of times, like if you say like a Ben Brown, or you talk about Cade Horton or Matt Shaw, none of those guys do this stuff. It's PCA. He's got like an edge to him. And you see it at CubsCon. He was hilarious when he was doing the kids only panel. But like I said, just the way he dresses, the way he's kind of got that look about him. You have to have some confidence, Dustin. You have to have some swag if you are going to pull that off, in my opinion.
Yeah, you do. You got to have some onions. There's no doubt about that.
And so, looking at this right now, I just sit there and say to myself, it'll be fun. I think he's a great kid. I'm just really hoping, like you said, that those stars stand for all stars and he has an all-star season because, we'll bring it up later on, but we have audio of Craig Counsell talking about one of those young guys got to break through. And so maybe it is PCA. One last story, Dustin, that we have to kind of look at is a little bit about a very famous Cubs fan, Ronnie Woo Woo. In case you don't know, Ronnie Woo Woo is 83 years old, and he's been dealing with some health issues lately, and he's in a rehab center right now, working on getting stronger, working on getting better. I know he wants to be out in Arizona, definitely wants to be there for opening day, but right now he's just trying to get better. And so I've been in contact with Ronnie's people, and, it's hard being there in one of those rehabilitation centers with not a lot to do. And so I've been on social media at Crawly's Cubs. I've been putting his address out there, which I've gotten approval for. So I'm not just doing this, but he's been getting letters. He's now been getting baseball cards. He's been getting lottery scratch-off tickets, which he absolutely loves. And so Ronnie's been going to games since like the 1950s, 1960s, 70s, 80s, 90s. I mean, who doesn't have a Ronnie Woo Woo story?
Yeah, everybody's probably run into him. Always a presence. Listen, say a prayer, write a note, do what you can.
This is a true story. In 2007, I was in a documentary on HBO. It was called Wait Till Next Year, right? And they invited us down to Piper's Alley in Chicago to do, they had a screening for all these people from HBO from New York flew out. And it was really beautiful. Like, I did wear my Cubs jersey, but like most people were dressed pretty nice, like jacket, tie, all this stuff. They had beautiful centerpieces with roses and baseballs in them. And everybody's eating like, food, and they're talking. And out of nowhere comes Ronnie Woo Woo. How he found out about it, how he knew about it, I will never know. He literally walks in, woos for about 10 minutes around the entire area of the theater, or like where we're having the pre-screening, and the people in New York go absolutely nuts. And then he leaves. Didn't watch the movie, didn't do anything. He was gone just like that. And so just an absolute crack up. But I'm going to put this on my social media. I've been putting it out here. It's right here now if anyone's watching on the YouTube channel. But if you want to send Ronnie a letter, baseball cards, lotto scratch-off tickets, he would just love to hear from you right now. Like I said, he's got nothing but time on his hands, and it's kind of driving him a little crazy here. But he is at Lincolnwood Place Rehab. That's Lincolnwood Place Rehab, 7000 North McCormick, Lincolnwood, Illinois, 60712. That's Ronnie Wickers, Lincolnwood Place Rehab, 7000 North McCormick, Lincolnwood, Illinois, 60712. I mean, like I said, he's done for over the years, just a lot of entertaining. He's always been willing to take pictures with the fans. Just a guy that loves the Cubs and loves to have fun. And I think that's, Dustin, what we try to be all about. And hopefully people can, maybe just take a few minutes out of their time and just send him a letter. He'd really appreciate it.
Crawly, that's a wrap. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Follow on all the socials, Facebook, Instagram. We're on Twitter. Email us, flythew670gmail.com, and watch us by subscribing to the 670 The Score YouTube channel. Crawly, we get back together. Position players and the team will have held their first full workout.
Absolutely. And we got something special kind of brewing right now as far as the stadium giveaways. Please don't think I forgot about that. That is one of my favorite days of the year. So we'll have you all taken care of on the next episode. Go Cubs! Hey guys, it's Crawly. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. If you want to see more of our videos, be sure to check out our playlist and let us know what you think in the comments below. Also, don't forget to follow us on social media to stay up to date with our latest episodes. Links are in the description. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Go Cubs!